I have tried to say for decades that Jesus did actually go into a building that was a synagogue. And most scholars said, no, they were house churches. That is a room in a house where Jews would come together. The Greek word synagogue means to come together. So synagogue means where you come together. So I opened a place called Kirbet Beza, and I had a dream that we would find a synagogue there because we knew it was an early Jewish ruin. We think it was first century, and we had a huge pillar, but it turned out to be a huge house. So all the attempts we have to try to find a synagogue that Jesus could have sat in have failed. For example, the one at Capernaum, now the tour groups, this is where Jesus preached. But we have studied the basalt base and the coins under it, 40,000 coins, and the earliest one is 470. So that base was put there after 470, so it's 5th or 6th century synagogue. So we have just despaired. We haven't found a synagogue where Jesus taught, or he could have taught. The Gospels say he taught in the synagogues throughout Galilee. Now I got to tell you something. Just recently, they have found at Migdal, that's Mary of Migdal, or Mary Magdalene, a huge city. Josephus said 40,000 people, but we estimate maybe 5,000, but we don't know. But Nazareth, maybe 100 people. Capernaum, maybe 1,500. Migdal, 5,000. That's a city. And we found the harbor. I helped excavate the harbor, and it's plastered. And it's a magnificent harbor city. It's where they pickled fish and distributed all over the land and maybe to Alexandria. So it's a major city. When I was digging there, I found beautiful pieces of glass. So I know Mary Magdalene comes from a very wealthy city. But just recently, they were beginning to prepare for a new hotel. And before they thought, well, archaeologists have been working here. Let's find out what's just a little north of that. And as they began to dig, they found columns, then they found frescoed walls, then they found part of a mosaic. It is a synagogue, a magnificent synagogue. And right in the middle of it, a coin from 40. From 40. Jesus could have been there in 30. That's when he was crucified. 40, just 10 years later. So you know the synagogue was there in the time of Jesus. So what do we imagine? Jesus had his base city at Capernaum. He gets on a boat. Less than an hour later, he gets off, and there is the harbor. He walks past these huge warehouses, and this beautiful building is in front of him, a synagogue. Now, my imagination and others would say it was here he met Mary. So Jesus teaching in the synagogue at Migdal, we have never asked. There's no book on it. No one has asked, where did Jesus meet Mary? Where did Mary meet Jesus? The most likely place is at Migdal. At the synagogue. Now remember, she's drawn to him, which means she has a religious dimension. She's hungry for God, and I can imagine him sitting there lecturing and teaching, and Mary becoming his best disciple.